Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching.
Come on, man. What's wrong with you?
Did you hear what I said?
You know, that's just one step above stupid.
5 brain cells, 4 aren't working.
Have you lost the last 3 brain cells, or do you just have cabbage for brains?
Tired of it, 10 down, 15 on.
Did you hear what I said?
It's the house.
What's going on, freaks? You know, it's funny. I thought I was live streaming already because it didn't automatically stream. I hit stream and then it goes over there, and you have to start stream over on YouTube. And I was looking at it, and I go, there was only 15 people, and I said, man, I went through the whole intro and everything, and I said, man, if we don't get to 50 people, I'm gonna just take off. And then I realized, wait a minute, that's not even live over there. That was pretty funny. And then I realized none of you were saying anything back to me, and then I realized that I wasn't live yet. All right, thanks, Timothy Cecil. Yeah, I'm gonna be taking off. We'll be gone from tomorrow and the next day. We're struggled yesterday. Today's struggling again, and then 2 days with not. We're gonna be way behind by the time. We're not even at 45% of last month, if you can believe that. Yeah, last month was one of those, way better months than normal, but still kind of. Like we're not even at 50%. There is 7 more days to go, but 2 of them I'm gone. So I guess we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, there's just a massive, if you missed the earlier show, the scandal in the NBA, and one of the main people is Chauncey Billups, and he's the coach of the Portland Trailblazers, which I've been a fan of since 1976, basically. I haven't missed a game. I mean, really, like, I'd say if I missed 10 games in those 50 years, or whatever the hell that is, 50, yeah, about 50 years, it'd be a miracle. But what we're going to do on this one is we'll play the portion of the press conference again. I like the lady had the best part, I thought. She was, I think her description. Yeah, this one right here. Yeah, she goes all the way to there. I thought her description was the best. So we'll just play that, and then we'll go over these documents. I'll start with the other one first, the one about the NBA.
Patel, Assistant Director Rhea, and U.S. Attorney Nacella. What we're announcing today is not just another takedown. It's the result of more than 2 years of coordinated investigative work by the NYPD's Joint Organized Crime Task Force and the FBI. 2 cases that exposed criminal networks led by 34 individuals who believed the rules did not apply to them. They hid behind layers of complexity, behind money, and behind influence, believing those things would shield them from accountability. The first case, Operation Nothing But Bet, exposed a gambling ring built around professional basketball, where players and associates allegedly used inside information to manipulate prop bets on major sports betting platforms. They placed wagers on unders on players to score less.
This is how it recorded, but it picks up right where it left off.
rebound less.
Let me see if I can edit that where it looks absolutely flawless. Let's see. Go right there.
To score less.
So her voice stops, but I guess what does it say over here? Just a second. So that's just the finishing of that. Let's see how that plays this time. She'll probably still freeze, but the
wagers on unders on players to score less, rebound less, assist less, using information that was not yet public. In some instances, players altered their performance or took themselves out of games to make sure that those bets paid out. One example occurred on March 23rd, 2023 in Charlotte. Terry Rozier, an NBA player now with the Miami Heat, but at the time playing for the Hornets, allegedly let others close to him know that he planned to leave the game early with a supposed injury. Using that information, members of the group placed more than $200,000.
Yeah. What are you referring to, Mother Nature's little secrets? When you say that, finally found a crime they can effectively investigate. Which one? I mean, are you trying to pretend that the Charlie Kirk assassination wasn't and isn't being investigated very well? You know what I mean? Like if the FBI, man, you guys are crazy. It's just, yeah, I followed him when he was on the Pistons. I mean, I've followed the NBA since 1976. You know, he was, part of the team with Rasheed Wallace, all those guys. Yeah.
Dollars in wagers on his under statistics. Rozier exited the game.
Rasheed Wallace was a Blazer before.
After just 9 minutes, and those bets paid out, generating tens of thousands of dollars in profit. The proceeds were later delivered to his home, where the group counted their cash. As the NBA season tips off, his career is already benched, not for injury, but for integrity. As a result of this investigation, 6 defendants, including Rozier, are now facing conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud. In a second case, Operation Zen Diagram, investigators uncovered a long-running scheme in which members and associates of several well-known organized crime families rigged high-stakes poker games across the country.
What I want to know is why isn't the nut job conspiracy theorists in the Charlie Kirk case, why don't you invent something here too? Come up with something. They act like, wow, look at how much better. I mean, give me a break, man. The probable cause document in the Kirk case blows this one. It's the same thing. It's just as high a quality as this. You just don't want it to be. It's embarrassing.
Operatives included capos and multiple soldiers from the Bonanno, Gambino, Lucchese, and Genovese crime families, bringing 4 of the 5 families together in a single indictment is extraordinarily rare. It reflects how deep and how far this investigation reached and the skill and the persistence it took to get here. That work uncovered a deliberate, technologically sophisticated...
That's kind of a dumb comment again. His airness. That doesn't make any sense. We needed an FBI investigation to tell us sports are rigged? No, we all think this thing. But the FBI is actually charging the people who were doing this, finally. Are you saying that they should be let to just do whatever they want forever? Just because we know that they do it? Go ahead and keep doing it. You guys are crazy. Where do the logic in these comments are just...
operation designed to carry out their crimes. They used custom shuffling machines that could read the order of cards, barcoded decks, and hidden cameras built into tables.
We have a gag order that has never been like... You're full of crap, Mother Nature, Little Secrets. You're absolutely incorrect. The gag order is by the prosecution, happens in many, many cases. We had it in the Idaho 4 case, we had in the Delphi case. It's very, very common. I don't know who's informing you, but you're very uninformed, all right? I don't mean to embarrass you, but it's just absolutely true. Delphi, Idaho 4, this case, multiple other cases that we've covered here have gag orders. All right? And they try to do that to protect the integrity of being able to select a jury pool. I don't know what planet you're from, but it's really common.
And light fixtures. The organizers also enlisted well-known public figures, former and current NBA players and coaches, including Chauncey Billups, the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, an NBA champion and a Hall of Famer, to make the games appear legitimate. Victims believed that they were sitting at a fair table. Instead, they were cheated out of millions. One victim in particular lost $1.8 million. In total, losses exceeded $7 million and continue to climb. And when people refused to pay, these defendants did what organized...
I don't know. If you just go to a casino, you're not really a victim. You're just trying to win. Going to a private event, that's where it's sort of foolish because, you know, who knows what's happening at one of those. Casinos don't do that. They have a percentage. The percentages mean that they're going to win over time.
Organized crime has always done. They used threats, they used intimidation, and they used violence. It's the same pattern that we have seen for decades. Traditional mob enforcement methods combined with new technology to expand the reach of their operations. Now, with the unsealing of today's indictment, 34 individuals are facing charges, including robbery, extortion, money laundering, wire fraud, bank fraud, and illegal gambling. I want to commend the outstanding work of our detectives from the Joint Organized Crime Task Force and their dedication to these cases, especially Captain Ruben Pagan, Sergeant Chris McGuire, Detective Alexander Creamer, Detective James McCullough, and of course, our Chief of Detectives, Chief Kenny. As part of these investigations, our members recovered and reviewed thousands of hours of video, conducted extensive surveillance on illegal gambling locations across the city, and executed more than 24 search warrants on electronic records that revealed the true extent of this conspiracy. Once again, the work of our detectives, together with the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, closed those gaps before they could widen further. The NYPD is proud to stand with each of you today as these cases represent the kind of partnership that defines modern law enforcement agencies, sharing intelligence, coordinating resources, and moving as one team. Thank you.
All right. Well, hey, guys, is there any chance you guys could be helping support the channel tonight? We're at $9.98 with 0 new channel members. I'm sorry that I'm not covering Charlie Kirk tonight. Is there any chance you can support me on other cases? That's the problem. This is exactly what I've been talking about. You see how this is just totally different? So if you have the ability to, that would be great. We've only got 125 people watching, and that's because we're not covering the really big case of Charlie Kirk or something else. All right, so here's the NBA one. What's interesting, because he's not really named as one of these people here, you know, but it says Eric Ernst, Mars Fairley, Shane Hennon, Damon Jones, De Niro Laster, and Terry Rozier are the defendants. So it's kind of interesting. He's not, see, Billups is mentioned in the gambling one, not this one. This is the NBA, but he's brought up in here as I think it's defendant 0 or no 8. So it says the defendant Aaron Ertz, also known as Spook, was a resident of Missouri. The defendant Marv's Fairley, also known as Vez or Vezino, and Vezino Locks, was a resident of Mississippi. Fairley represented himself on Instagram as a successful sports bettor and sold sports betting picks through his Instagram profiles. The defendant Shane Hennon, also known as Sugar, was a resident of Pennsylvania and Nevada. Hey, thanks, Alley Cake. She's trying for a wave. Don't let Alley Cake be hanging there. Hennon represented himself on Instagram as a successful sports bettor and sold sports picks through his Instagram. The defendant, Damon Jones, also known as D. Jones, and D. Jones, was a resident of Texas. Jones was a National Basketball Association NBA player from approximately 1999 through 2009 and an NBA coach from approximately 2016 through 2018. Let's see, player and an NBA coach from, so that's Damon Jones. And then the defendant, De Niro Laster, also known as Peso or Peso with Payso, and Nero was a resident of Ohio. The defendant, Terry Rozier, also known as Scary Terry and Chum, was a resident of Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida. Rozier was a professional basketball player who, thanks Nader Bitter, who has played in the NBA since 2015. During the 2022-23 NBA season, Rozier played for the Charlotte Hornets. Rozier was a close friend with the defendant, De Niro Laster, and they had known each other since childhood. And then the NBA was a professional, I'm not sure when you say was, the NBA and the betting companies. Thank you, MM. The NBA was a professional basketball league in North America. You mean is. Among other NBA teams, including the Charlotte Hornets, Chicago Bulls, Cleveland Cavaliers, Los Angeles Clippers, Los Angeles Lakers, Milwaukee Bucks, all the way through Portland Trailblazers, Sacramento Kings, Toronto Raptors. The NBA maintained codes of conduct applicable to its players, coaches, and management that prohibited, among other things, wagering in connection with NBA games or providing non-public information. So that's the key part. Non-public information related to NBA games to others. Such codes of conduct also required NBA players, coaches, and management to provide their best services and loyalty to their teams. NBA teams were required to report to the NBA information. NBA teams were required to report to the NBA information concerning player injuries, illnesses, and rest for all NBA games. On each game day, the NBA disseminated an injury report for each NBA team playing that day. And that's what people would place their bets related to. The injury reports identified players as falling within one of the following categories: available, probable, questionable, doubtful, and out. The injury reports were updated multiple times throughout each game day. Betting companies, 1 through 4 entities, the entities of which are known to the grand jury, were licensed gambling companies operating in the United States that offered sports betting services collectively and together with other online sportsbook and retail sportsbooks, the betting companies. The betting companies offered sports betting services relating to, among other things, NBA games and individual players' statistical performances in NBA games. Since approximately 2021, Betting Company 1 and Betting Company 2 have been the co-official sports betting partners of the NBA. Other relative individuals. Long Five Pham, also known as Bruce, was a resident of Queens. Timothy McCormick was a resident of New York, New York. John Tay Porter was a resident of Missouri. Porter was an NBA player during the 2023 2024 NBA season. Co-conspirator are individuals who identify is known to the grand jury was a resident of Florida. Co-conspirator 2, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury. These are just, Louisiana, Michigan, Pennsylvania. And so this is one down here. Yes, that was Rozier, is co-conspirator 6. No, it's a relative of Terry Rozier. And then co-conspirator 7, an individual's identity is known to the grand jury, was a resident of North Carolina. And then the next one is co-conspirator 8, an individual's identity known to the grand jury, was a resident of Oregon. Co-conspirator 8 was an NBA player from approximately 97 to 2014 and an NBA coach since at least 2021. So that's Chauncey Billups right there. So he's a co-conspirator, but he isn't the main, he isn't who, the main charges are against I think it was 5 different people, right? We're on page 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like 6. Hey, thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate it. Gifted a membership. All right. So that was right there. Background on sports betting. I don't know if we needed to know that. I don't know. Maybe we could go over it, I guess. In or about 1992, following several high-profile sports betting scandals, the United States Congress passed the Federal Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, which banned all but 4 states from sponsoring, authorizing, operating, or regulating sports wagering. The 4 accepted states, Nevada, Oregon, Delaware, and Montana, had existing sports wagering regimes that PASPA grandfathered in. That's kind of crazy that Oregon was part of that. Thank you, Wild Bill Wassman. In or about 2018, following years of litigation between the states of New Jersey, which desired to legalize sports betting, and several major American professional and college sports leagues, the United States Supreme Court struck down PASPA as unconstitutional. In the ensuing years, sports betting, and in particular online sports betting, became legal in dozens of states. The betting companies operated online mobile applications, branded retail sports books at various casinos nationwide, or both. Online wagers made through the betting companies' online mobile applications were made pursuant to the betting companies' respective terms of use. Wagers made at retail sportsbooks were made pursuant to the sportsbook house rules. Among other things, the terms of use and house rules generally prohibited users from wagering in connection with sporting contests when the wagers were based on the user, or the users had access to pre-release confidential information or other public information. The terms of use and house rules also prohibited individuals from using others to place wagers on behalf, otherwise known as straw betting. Right, so you could say, ooh, shit, like Nancy Pelosi does, right? Like, hey, my God, we're going to give a contract, ruling. We're gonna vote on something here. We're going to pass. It's going to help this industry. Hey, Johnny, would you tell my broker to put some money down on this one? Thank you. Same thing in like the betting. Hey, I know this guy is injured. It's not public yet, so that'll probably, So hey, listen. Put some money down on this. You know how it works. It's crazy. It is just like Pelosi's how did Pelosi? She's worth like $100 million, and before that she wasn't rich. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think it was a pretty good one. I mean, I think a lot of Congress people on both sides benefit from knowledge they have. They tell somebody, and then that person knows, and then they, you know, buy some stock and see what happens. But hey, guys, if you're out there, if you could please help support the channel. I'm still here doing the shows. I know tonight isn't the popular ones. Let's see what we can do instead of struggling throughout the entire night. All right, so despite recent widespread legalization of sports betting, unlicensed bookmakers or bookies also offered sports betting services to bettors. Bookies frequently accepted bets on bespoke betting websites that allowed users to place various types of wagers on sporting contests based on publicly available betting lines. Unlike legal sports books, bookies typically settled up the bettors' wagers, received payment from and or paid the bettors in connection with the wagers. Offline, generally through cash, peer-to-peer payments, or cryptocurrency. A proposition or prop bet was a bet made regarding the occurrence or non-occurrence during a game of an event not directly affecting the game's outcome. For example, a bettor might wager that a particular player would score more, referred to as betting the over, or fewer, referred to as betting the under, points than a certain number of points designated by the betting operator for a given game. Like somebody might say, well, we think he's going to score 18 points. And then you go, well, I'm going to bet this amount that he's going to score less than 18. Prop books bets took many forms. For example, a bettor could place a prop bet on the points, rebounds, assists, minutes played, or three-pointers made by individual NBA players. A money line bet was a bet placed on a game's outcome, which team would win or lose the game. That's like the normal people, that's how normal people bet on something. Relatedly, a point spread or spread bet was a bet placed on the margin of victory. I think there's probably more return on something like that. A parlay bet was a bet that was comprised of two or more individual bets as opposed to a single or straight bet. Thanks, Alley Cake. Which was comprised of one individual bet. So you bet multiple, it's like there's multiple bets, but it's in one bet. Like you could say, okay, I want this guy to do this. He's going to score 15 in the first quarter, and then he's going to score 3 or less in the second quarter, and then he's going to score over 4 in the third quarter. Maybe that's a parlay. It's just one transaction, though. Yeah, so a parlay bet was a bettor that, okay, we already did that one. A betting line or line was a number set by oddsmaker to represent expected outcome of a particular event. In the context of prop bets, a betting line was the number of oddsmakers for a given outcome. For example, an oddsmaker might set the betting line for a given player points in a given game at 20. Bettors would then have the choice to bet the under, i.e. the player will score fewer than 20 points in the game, or the over, i.e. the player will score more than 20 points. Oddsmaker had proprietary process for setting betting lines, and they're really accurate. It's crazy. But betting lines generally took into account all publicly known information relevant to a given bet. Right, so it's publicly known information. And that's why if you have information that's not public and you're using it to bet, it's like insider trading. In or about And between December 2022 and March of 2024, the defendants Eric Ernest, Mars Fairley, Shane Hennon, Damon Jones, De Niro Laster, and Terry Rozier, together with others, participated in a scheme to defraud the betting companies by providing, obtaining, and using non-public information relating to NBA games to place and cause others to place fraudulent sports wagers for profit and to launder the proceeds thereof. The fraudulent wagering scheme typically involved various iterations of the same pattern within a network of co-conspirators. The defendants and certain conspirators had access to private information known by NBA players or NBA coaches that was likely to affect the outcome of upcoming NBA games or individual players' performances. They provided other co-conspirators this non-public information in exchange for either a flat fee or a share in expected wagering profits for the purpose of betting. The co-conspirators disseminated the non-public, so that would be like Chauncey Billups, disseminated the non-public information through a network of individuals who placed bets on the co-conspirators' behalf, placed wagers on their... Okay, so the co-conspirators disseminated the non-public betting information through a network of individuals, and those individuals placed bets on the co-conspirators' behalf, placed wagers on their own behalf, or directed others to place wagers, all with intention of profiting off the scheme at the expense of the betting. So this is exactly like insider trading, right? Hey, you go do it, and give me a cut of that, or why don't you do it? But so maybe Chauncey Billups was profiting himself off of this, and if that's the case, that's just, it doesn't affect the outcome of the game because the Blazers were actively, I remember this precisely. Hey, thanks, Nader Bader. The Blazers were actively trying to tank their season. So it even says in here they were 32-40 at the time, and they had 10 games left, and they were already out of the playoffs. So now they wanted to get the best odds in the draft, so they tanked all the rest of their games. So it wasn't even unreasonable, though, to think that, they're going to bench all the starters. But you wouldn't think you would do that. Like all of a sudden you're going to bench 4 of your starters. Well, that's kind of what the Blazers did. And then Chauncey Billups knew that and told somebody, hey, I'm going to bench all 4 starters. But, the betting sites, they didn't know that. Well, betting, that is gambling. You might not, betting is, it's still a gamble on whether or not your bet comes through, right? I don't know. All right, so let's see. We've got and scheme typically involved. Okay, and then the co-conspirators disseminated the non-public betting information through a network. I think that's the part that's interesting. The co-conspirators disseminated. So this would be, just pretend this is a coach of the Blazers. So you could say Chauncey Billups disseminated the non-public betting information through a network of individuals. So this is, people didn't know that the 4 starters weren't going to be played. Hey, they're not going to be playing. And then those people placed bets on the behalf of Chauncey Billups, or on behalf, or placed wagers on their own behalf, or directed others to place wagers, all with the intention of profiting off the scheme at the expense of betting companies. As a result, many of the wagers were placed in connection with betting lines that did not reflect or account for the private information known by the defendants and their co-conspirators, rendering the wagers more profitable. As a result, many of the wagers were placed in connection with betting lines that did not reflect or account for the private information. Right. So they're over there saying, okay, let's say there was it said Blazers by 2 because they're playing kind of a crappy team. And they'll say, I'll bet you the Blazers lose by 10, which would probably really be like a pretty big return because it's so off of what they said, because the insider knew that 4 starters weren't going to be playing, but the betting company did not know. Oh, it's lyrics to a song? Oh, I see. Okay. See, I got it right, though, right? The defendant and their co-conspirators, let's see. As a result, many of the wagers and their co-conspirators rendering the wagers more profitable. All right. The defendants and their co-conspirators placed and caused others to place these fraudulent wagers through the betting companies, mobile applications, and retail sports books. In doing so, the defendants and their co-conspirators made and caused others to make materially false and misleading statements and representations to the betting companies, and to omit to state one or more material facts which made what was this is hard to read, facts which made what was represented under the circumstances misleading, including that the wagers were placed in accordance with the betting company's terms, conditions, and house rules prohibiting, among other things, wagering based on non-profit information and straw betting. In many instances, the defendants and their co-conspirators' fraudulent bets were successful and were paid out by the betting companies. The betting companies would have... I remember, you know what's strange, you guys? I remember during this time when the Blazers were, they were tanking, and he took 4 starters out. And I remember there was a game where we just pulled out of our ass. I mean, we won a game, and I remember looking at, and Billups was just like, man, those are really fun. But inside he was like, shit, I got killed on this thing, because we won a game with like all these bench players that just went nuts. And I just remember, now that you think back about that, it's pretty weird. It seemed like it was against Denver or something at home. I don't remember if that's exactly who it was, but who was the coach? I remember the coach looking... No, I think it was the Spurs. Yeah, or something like that. It's like, I remember like Popovich just going, what the hell's happening? Yeah. All right, guys, we're currently at 1/5 of the goal. So if you guys have the ability to help support the channel, we're currently we're not even at $50 for the show so far. So if we can get the support up, that would be great. Let's see. In many instances, the defendant and their co-conspirators' fraudulent bets were successful and were paid out. In furtherance of the scheme and to conceal the proceeds derived from it, the defendants and their co-conspirators engaged in and caused others to engage in transactions between and among themselves and others acting on their behalf, including peer-to-peer payment platform, transfers, bank wires, and cash exchanges. Examples of some of the fraudulent wagers and the laundering of proceeds thereof are set forth below. So here's some examples. So this is on March 23rd. It's weird how they're all kind of around the same, like March 24th, the same, like the day later was the Blazers one. During the 2022 and 2023 NBA season, the defendant, Terry Rozier, played for the Charlotte Hornets. Prior to the Hornets' March 23rd, 2023 game against the New Orleans Pelicans, the March 23rd game, Rozier informed the defendant, De Niro Laster, that Rozier was going to prematurely remove himself from the game in the first quarter due to a supposed injury and not return to play further. I mean, that right there is where it affects the game. That's bad. Rozier provided this information to Laster for the purpose of enabling Laster to place wagers based on this information. Rozier was not on the Hornets injury report prior to the March 23rd game, and Hornets officials were not aware Rozier's plan to exit the game prematurely. The public, including the betting companies, was also not aware of Rozier's plan to exit the March 23rd game prematurely. The defendant, De Niro Laster, sold the information about the defendant, Terry Rozier's plan to leave the March 23rd game early to multiple conspirators, including to the defendant, Marvs Fairley, and co-conspirator 1, to enable them to place fraudulent wagers based on the non-public information. In exchange for information, Fairley and co-conspirator 1 agreed to pay Laster approximately $100,000 from their expected I mean, this is a guaranteed win, this kind of a bet like this. I agree to pay Laster approximately $100,000 from their expected fraudulent gambling winnings. Prior to the March 23rd game, Fairley, Laster, and co-conspirator 1 exchanged text messages confirming that Rozier planned to exit the game prematurely and confirming their plan to place wagers on Rozier's unders. So, like, let's say they said he was going to score 19 points in the game, and after the first quarter, he's got like 6 points, and he goes, okay, I'm out of here. I'm injured now. And so he made sure he didn't make the over. So it's on the under. And I bet you can even bet like on how many points below that, you know. So you guys, is this going to be one of those nights again where I say, hey, if you can help support the channel, and we just keep ticking by and we're not moving. All right. I've done a show earlier today and this show, and the combined shows were at 40%. So I need you guys' support when we do these shows, okay? That's why when we do live streams, you guys are the sole source. There's no ad revenue or anything on these, as I've explained 100,000 times. Let's see. The defendant, De Niro Laster, sold the information about defendant Terry Rozier planned to leave the March early to multiple conspirators, including to the defendant Marvs Fairley and co-conspirator 1, to enable them to place fraudulent wagers based on non-public information. In exchange, so this is the part we just did. So conspirator 1 agreed to pay Laster approximately $100,000, because they got that information, and that guy's probably going to make $600,000. It goes, hey, here's $100,000. Yeah, I'm reading the legal documents. Right, I'm reading the document, LG Loop, so I don't care what you heard. No, that doesn't say that. Well, it might say it later in the document, but I'm reading the document. I don't know. I'm not just going to sit here and spin my wheels, though, and read and read and read, and we're just sitting here, you guys. We got to have, this has to be like similar to a normal show. All right? We're just like massive lulls over and over and over again. And it was like that on the earlier show, and it's just... The defendant, Mars Fairley, also provided the information to the defendant, Shane Hennon, so that Hennon, both himself and through a network of straw bettors, could place bets on the defendant, Terry Rozier's under. Fairley provided the information to Hennon, and Hennon agreed to place and direct his associates to place bets on Rozier's under based on an agreement between between them that Hennon would give Fairley a share of the profits. So he didn't have any money, but he got to, he didn't have to place any money down, but he got a share of the profits because he gave the inside information. On or about March 23rd, 2023, and prior to the start of the March 23rd game, the defendant, Shane Hennon, placed multiple bets at a retail sportsbook operated by Betting Company 3, totaling approximately $61,200. On or about March 23rd and prior, the defendant, Shane Hennon, placed multiple bets, all of which were either straight or parlay bets on the defendant, Terry Rozier's unders. In addition to placing bets on Rozier's under himself, Hennon marshaled a network of associates to place bets as well, unders, and Hennon direction, including but not limited to the following bets, all of which placed on March 23rd, 2023, prior to the start of the March 23rd game. Co-conspirator 2 placed multiple straight or parlay bets on Rozier's under at a retail sportsbook operated by Betting Company 1 on Betting Company 1's mobile application, totaling approximately $107,000. Timothy McCormick and Long 5 Fam placed multiple straight or parlay bets on Rozier's unders at a retail sportsbook located in New Jersey and operated by Betting Company 1 and on Betting Company 1's mobile application, totaling approximately $41,000. Hours earlier, McCormick received 2 payments totaling $40,000 via a peer-to-peer mobile payment platform that McCormick and Pham used to fund the above-described wagers on Rozier's unders. While located within the Eastern District of New York, Pham, among other things, engaged in communications regarding and in furtherance of the fraudulent wagering scheme. Co-conspirator 3 placed multiple straight or parlay bets on Rozier's under at a retail sportsbook operated by Betting Company 1 and on Betting Company 1's mobile application, totaling $20,000. Co-conspirator 4 placed multiple straight bets on Rozier's under at a retail sportsbook operated by Betting Company 1 and on Betting Company 1's mobile application, $17,000. So it's just like, I'm betting under. I don't know if that means you double your money or however that works, but. Co-conspirator 5 placed multiple straight bets on Rozier's unders at a retail sportsbook operated by Betting Company 4, totaling approximately $12,500. In addition to the defendant and their co-conspirators, others in the defendant Terry Rozier's close circle placed wagers on Rozier unders in connection with the March 23rd game. Hey, thanks, Alley Cake. It shouldn't just be up to you. You seem like, it's just frustrating. I always feel bad that you're the one that's like, hey, Gray, here we go. It's frustrating. I appreciate your support, though. It's like, I wish others had the same, Co-conspirator 6 placed an approximately $800 bet using Betting Company, that seems kind of small, mobile application on Rozier under points. Since approximately 2022, Conspirator 6 had placed dozens of bets on Rozier's performance in various NBA games via Betting Company 1. Interesting. Every one of these bets, with the exception of the under bet on Rozier points in connection with the March 23rd game, was an over bet. So that means, those are probably natural then. Co-conspirator 6's bet on Rozier under was successful, and co-conspirator 6 was paid approximately $1,500 by Betting Company 1. In the day following March 23rd game, co-conspirator 6 placed multiple additional bets using Betting Company 1's mobile application and lost approximately $4,000. So in the days following, co-conspirator 6 placed multiple additional bets using betting company 1 and lost approximately $4,000. Following that string of losses, co-conspirator 6 texted the defendant De Niro last year, "I lost that shit on betting company 1. I'm going to give you a little sack when I see you." And Laster responded, "Bet." Thanks, Jack Craig and Wild Bill Wassman. On or about the morning of March 23rd, 2023, a relative of Laster created an online account with betting company 1 and shortly thereafter placed an approximately $4,000 parlay. Oh, wait, so on March 23rd, so this is right after that communication. So on or about morning of March 23rd, 2023, a relative of Laster created an online account with betting company 1 and shortly thereafter placed an approximate $4,000 parlay wager on Rozier's under for March 23rd game. This wager was funded by co-conspirator 7, who on prior occasions in the context of discussing sports betting had asked for and received from Laster non-public information relating to Rozier's health status. During the March 23rd game, the defendant Terry Rozier removed himself from the game in the first quarter and did not return. Rozier played approximately 9 minutes and 34 seconds, well below a season average of approximately 35.3 minutes per game. Rozier scored 5 points, recorded 2 assists, and made 1 3-point shot, which were all well below his per-game averages of approximately 21.1 points, 5.1 assists, and 2.6 three-pointers, and below the lines set by oddsmaker for Rozier points, assists, three-pointers in the March 23rd game. Rozier collected 4 rebounds, which was in line with per-game average of approximately 4.1 rebounds, and above the line set by oddsmaker for Rozier rebounds in the March 23rd game. Rozier's early exit from the March 23rd game and his related underperformance relative to his season average for points, assists, and three-pointers resulted in the success of numerous fraudulent wagers placed on Rozier's unders by the defendant and their co-conspirators. Yeah, but check this thing out. I think is it this one? Yeah. Look at this. Look what I found on Twitter. Watch this. This is March 23rd, 2023. That's the same day, right? It says, and now Rozier plays just 9 minutes and then is out the rest of the game? Conspiracy theorists are going to run with this one. This guy was totally onto it. Then it says, is there any reason why there are 0 Terry Rozier props, I guess those are prop bets, on any books or DFS sites? Is he out tonight? Did I miss something? Very odd. And then, guess nobody told you the information. Look at this Greg guy on the same day, March 23rd. He said, at least I was in on it today. I got lucky that I was fed some inside information that Rozier was leaving in the first or second quarter, depending on the game flow and live lines. So that is that his unders would hit. I mean, this person said it right there. Look at this. This person knew. They somehow got the inside information, so they didn't make the bet or something. I don't know, but isn't that crazy? It's right there on the same day. It's wild. And then I think these other people are let's see, Underdog Tweet made it even more confusing, saying the reason why he doesn't have a projection is because he hasn't been on any of the Hornets injury reports to this point. Yet none of the sports books or DFS sites have propped up or props up for Rozier. I think that's why so many people, including myself, were a bit confused. Front end of a back-to-back for Charlotte So maybe it was planned for him to only play the first quarter. No, he pretended he was injured. Isn't that weird? I mean, it's crazy that like these people right here on the same day, probably like after the game. I mean, 6:07. Maybe the game was at. I'm not sure if that was a weekend day, but you know that's about the time. I mean, I guess that would be if he left in the first quarter, he's out of the game by that time. All right, now we're on a different one. On or about March 28, 2023, the defendant, Marv's Fairley, traveled to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to collect proceeds from the defendant, Shane Hennon, from the successful wagers Hennon and his associates placed on the March 23rd game, as well as proceeds from other fraudulent wagers Fairley and Hennon made in connection with the fraudulent wagering scheme. On or about March 28, 2023, the defendant, De Niro Lasser, also traveled to Philadelphia to collect from Fairley proceeds from the fraudulent wagering scheme related to the defendant, Terry Rozier, performance on March 23rd. So that's when he went to go collect it. Rozier arranged and paid for Lasser's travel to Philadelphia in or about and between the late hours of March 28, 2023, and the early morning hours of March 29, 2023, Fairley gave Lasser tens of thousands of dollars in cash as payment for the non-public information. Let's see. For the non-public information that Lasser had obtained from Rozier and had provided to Fairley regarding Rozier's plan to exit prematurely from the March 23rd game. After the defendant, De Niro Lasser, collected his cut of the fraudulent wagering scheme proceeds from the defendant, Marv's Fairley, Lasser drove from Philadelphia to the defendant's house, Terry Rozier, the actual player, in Charlotte, North Carolina. Lasser arrived in Charlotte on or about March 30th, 2023, and met Rozier at his home that day. During that early morning hours of April 1st, 2023, Lasser and Rozier counted the money that Lasser had obtained from Fairley in Philadelphia. And then this is the March 24th, 2023 Portland Trailblazers game. Isn't that weird that it's the next day? Almost as if they're all communicating about this. I mean, what are the odds of that? On March 24th, 2023, the Portland Trailblazers played the Chicago Bulls. Prior to the game, the Trailblazers' record was 32-40, and there's 82 games, so that's 10 short. And the team was out of the playoffs with only 10 games remaining in the season. Prior to the March 24th game, co-conspirator 8, which is Chauncey Billups, I'll just say that. Chauncey Billups told defendant Eric Ernest that the Trailblazers were going to be tanking, i.e. intentionally losing, to increase their odds of getting a better draft pick in the upcoming NBA draft. But we all knew that they were doing that, though. Co-conspirator 8, Chauncey Billups told Ernest, before news was publicly announced, that several of the Trailblazers' best players, including player 1, that's probably Damian Lillard, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, would not be playing in the March 24th game. The information that the Trailblazers would be tanking and not playing player 1, so the reason they were focusing on player 1, it was Lillard, he was their best player, he was healthy, they didn't let him play, was not available to public, including the betting companies. So the betting companies didn't know that all 4 of those players wouldn't be playing. Prior to the March 24th game, the defendant Eric Ernest provided his non-public inside information to the defendant Marv's Fairley so that, defendant Eric Ernest provided this non-public information to the defendant Marv's Fairley so that Fairley could place fraudulent wagers on the game and share their profit with Ernest. In exchange, Fairley ultimately, let's see, where did that go? In exchange, Fairley ultimately promised to pay Ernest at least $5,000 if the bets against the Trailblazers were successful. In addition, Fairley texted Ernest a screenshot of purported $20,000 wire transfer from Fairley's bank account to Ernest, accompanied by a message address for wire, or address for wire. After the defendant, Mars Fairley, learned from the defendant, Eric Ernest, that the Trailblazers planned not to play their best players in the March 24th game, Fairley conveyed the non-public information to co-conspirator 1. Fairley and co-conspirator 1 agreed to split the profits on successful wagers they could place against the Trailblazers. Before these key Trailblazers were publicly ruled out of the March 24th game, the defendant Mars Fairley and Shane Hennon themselves, and together with their co-conspirators, including co-conspirator 1, placed and caused the placement of multiple bets that the Trailblazers would lose the March 24th game, totaling more than approximately $100,000. For example, between approximately 12 p.m. Eastern Time and 7 p.m. Eastern Time on March 24, 2023, which was before the key Trailblazers were publicly ruled out, Timothy McCormick and Long Phi Pham, acting together and with Pham acting at Hedden's direction, placed bets against the Trailblazers of approximately $20,000 through Betting Company 1's mobile application at approximately $12,000 through Betting Company 2. The NBA injury report, publicly released at approximately 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on March 24, 2023, reported that probably Lillard was respectively probable and then questionable to play in the March 24th game. At approximately 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on March 24th, approximately half an hour before the start of the March 24th game, the NBA released an injury report listing player 1 and others as out for the game. The out group included the Trailblazers' 4 highest per-game scorers during the 2022-23 season. The betting lines related to the March 24th game changed upon the public release of the Trailblazers' key players' injury status. The fraudulent wagers against the Trailblazers placed and caused by the defendant Mars Fairley and Shane Hennon, together with co-conspirator acting at their direction, were successful as the Bulls beat the Trailblazers 124-96. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. All right, guys, any chance you guys could help support the channel tonight? We're absolutely struggling. I'm sorry. For God's sakes, I apologize for not covering Charlie Kirk again. I thought this was interesting. Actually, I don't really apologize. I wanted to cover this. But I would appreciate your guys' support, even though we're not covering the big cases, all right? On April 6, 2023, so this is just, again, like a week later, week and a half later. On or about April 6, 2023, the Orlando Magic played the Cleveland Cavaliers. The defendant, Mars Fairley, and co-conspirator 1 leveraged co-conspirator 1's personal relationship with one of the Magic's regularly starting players. Player 2, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, to obtain non-public information about the April 6th game, which they used to place at least one successful wager. I wonder if, like, Lillard was questioned. I wonder if he was sort of aware of what was happening. Hours before the April 6th game, Player 2 told Conspirator 1, before the news was publicly announced, that the Magic would not be playing its entire regular starting lineup. So it's almost the same. After receiving this information, co-conspirator 1 provided this information to defendant Mars Fairley. At the time that co-conspirator 1 shared this information with Fairley, the Magic were favored to win the game by approximately 9 points. Shortly thereafter, Fairley placed an approximately $11,000 wager with an unlicensed bookmaker that the Cavaliers would cover the game spread. 9.5 points. That is the best. That is, the bet would be successful if the Cavaliers won the game outright or lost the game by 9 points or fewer. The Magic did not play its entire regular starting lineup in the April 6th game, and the betting lines changed upon the public release of information relating to the Magic starting lineup. The Cavaliers beat the Magic by 24 points in the April 6th game, thus rendering Fairley and co-conspirator one fraudulent bet against the Magic successful. The February 9th, 2023 and January 15th, 2024 Los Angeles Lakers games. The defendant, Damon Jones, was a former NBA player and assistant coach. Jones played in the NBA from approximately 1999 through 2008, including as a member of the Cavaliers from approximately 2005 to 2008. Jones was an assistant coach on the Cavaliers from approximately 2014 through 2018. Jones was also an official assistant coach on the Los Angeles Lakers during 2022-2023 season. During many of those years, Jones was a teammate or coach of a prominent NBA player. They're saying player 3, that could be LeBron James, and I think it is LeBron James, an individual whose identity is known to grand jury. I think I can prove that it's LeBron James. By virtue of his relationship with player 3, the Lakers and other NBA personnel, the defendant, Damon Jones, had access to non-public information, including medical information that had not been released to the public. On multiple occasions during the 22 and 23 season, including as early as approximately December 2022, Jones sold or attempted to sell for profit non-public information to others, including to the defendant Eric Ernest and Mars Fairley, and others, for the purpose of causing or enabling them to place fraudulent wagers based on the non-public information. For example, on or about February 9th, 2023, the Lakers played the Milwaukee Bucks, February 9th game. On the morning of February 9th game, the defendant, Damon Jones, sent a text message to co-conspirator 9 writing, "Get a big bet on Milwaukee tonight before the information is out. Player 3 is out tonight." Well, that's LeBron James, right? So I just looked up the Lakers for that date, and look at this right here. February 9th, 2023, that's the article. LeBron James missed the Lakers game against the Milwaukee Bucks on Thursday because of left ankle soreness. So that pretty much proves that that is him. Isn't that crazy? I mean, it's just right there. I mean, it literally says Lakers rule LeBron James out February 9th, 2023 against the Bucks. So I went and found it. Hey, wow, thanks, Lisa Belson. Man, you took an otherwise struggling, horrendously night into just mildly struggling. But there you go. See, I proved that that is LeBron James. I'm not sure why you keep typing in 23. I don't know what that means. By virtue of his relationship with player 3, the Lakers and other NBA personnel, the defendant Damon Jones had access to non-public information, including medical information that had not been released to the public. On multiple occasions during the 22-23 season, including as early as approximately December 2022, Jones sold or attempted to sell for profit non-public information. So now we're down here. For example, on or about February 9th, 2023, the Lakers played the Milwaukee Bucks. On the morning of February 9th game, defendant Damon Jones sent a text message to co-conspirator 9 writing, "Get a big bet on Milwaukee tonight before the information is out." So you got to get the bet in, and then the information comes out, and then they adjust their bet lines. So LeBron is out tonight. Bet enough so D. Jones can eat something. Seek now. At the time, Jones provided this non-public information about Player 3 to co-conspirator 9. Player 3 was not ruled out on the NBA injury report yet. And then due to lower body injury, Player 3, LeBron James, did not play in the February 9th game with the Lakers, which the Lakers lost. On multiple other occasions during the 23-24 season, including in connection with January 15, 2024, game between the Lakers and Oklahoma City Thunder, the defendant, Damon Jones, and Eric Ernest sold or attempted to sell the defendant Mars Fairley nonprofit information for the purpose of causing or enabling Fairley to place wagers based on the non-public information. In exchange, Fairley agreed to pay Jones via Ernest. And thanks up there to Jess F. and Lisa Belson. Very kind, very kind. Player 4, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, was one of the Lakers' best players during 23-24 NBA season. I wonder if that's the center. What's his face? Prior to the January 15th game, the defendant, Damon Jones, claimed to have learned from the trainer for Player 3 and 4 that Player 4 was injured and was only going to play a limited number of minutes, and or his performance would likely be affected in the game because of injury. Jones shared the non-public information with the defendant, Eric Ernest, who then sent a text message to defendant Mars Fairley stating, "Hit me as soon as possible. Got one for you, dude. Say he got some info." Dude said he got some info. Ernest then shared the non-public information about Player 4 with Fairley. Fairley said paid Jones approximately $2,500 through an intermediary via a peer-to-peer mobile payment platform, accompanied by the message that said fee. After receiving this non-public information, and before the January 15th, 2024 game began, the defendant Mars Fairley, you know what we could do, let's see. What was that, January 15th? God, you idiot. Where did that, how come that did that? Yeah, January 15th. Lakers 112, 105. Huh. So what is it saying about this? I wonder who their better player is. After receiving this non-public information and before the January 15th, 2024 game, the defendant Mars Fairley shared the information with co-conspirator 1 and the defendant Shane Hennon. Fairley and co-conspirator 1 then placed and caused the placement of multiple bets against the Lakers. For example, Fairley placed an approximately $100,000 bet against the Lakers at a retail sportsbook operated by Betting Company 2. Hours before the January 15th game, the NBA injury report listed player 4 as probable, and it was not publicly disseminated, including to the betting companies, that player 4 would possibly play a limited number of minutes and or poorly due to injury. Ultimately, player 4 played in the January 15th game in line with his season average in minutes and performed well, and the Lakers won the game. Okay, I just showed that. After the January 15th game, the defendant Mars Fairley requested via the defendant Eric Ernest that the defendant Damon Jones repay Fairley the $2,500 that Fairley had paid for the non-public information. Despite the Lakers winning the January 15th game, Jones reaffirmed to Ernest after the game, including via text message, that he had received credible non-public information regarding player 4 prior to the game. Right, because right here it shows that the Lakers beat the Thunder 112 to 105, so that one didn't work, but still happened. I think we're about like 16 or so gifted channel memberships to reach the minimum goal. So that's combining the previous show and this one. So if there's any chance you guys can do that, that'd be great. Ultimately, player 4 played. Yeah, we already did that. The January 26, 24 and March 20th, 2024 Toronto Raptor games. On or about January 26, 2024 and March 20th, 2024, the Toronto Raptors played the Los Angeles Clippers, the January 26th game, and the Sacramento Kings, the March 20th game. Prior to the January 26th game and the March 20th game, Jonte Porter, then a player on the Raptors, agreed with Long Phi Pham and others to exit the game prematurely on the basis of, let's see. So Porter, Jonte Porter, yeah, that's that. See, this guy got in trouble here a while ago. And I think they dropped the charges against him. That's right. The NBA investigated him, and I think they said, or was that? No, actually, that was Rozier, I think. Then a player on the Raptors agreed with Long Phi Pham and others to exit the game prematurely on the basis of purported injuries, so that certain of their co-conspirators could place fraudulent wagers. Prior to both the January 26th game and the March 20th game, Pham provided the non-public information about Porter to the defendant, Shane Hennon, for the purpose of causing or enabling Hennon to place fraudulent wagers based on the non-public information. After obtaining this non-public information, Hennon shared this information with the defendant Mars Fairley for the purpose of causing or enabling Fairley to place additional fraudulent wagers based on the non-public information. After obtaining the non-public information relating to Porter's plan to exit the January 26th game and the March 20th game early, Hennon placed and directed and caused a number of his associates to place wagers on Porter's unders, all of which were successful. Hennon conducted multiple transfers via peer-to-peer mobile payment platforms to promote the scheme and distribute the proceeds of such wagers. Count 1, I guess, over here it says, the allegations contained in paragraphs 1 through 62 are realleged and incorporated as if fully set forth in this paragraph, 64. In or about between December 2022 and March 2024, both dates being approximate and exclusive within the Eastern District of New York and elsewhere, the defendant Eric Ernest, also known as Spook, and then Mars Fairley, also known as Vez, Vizino, and Vizino Locks, Shane Hennon, also known as Sugar, Damon Jones, also known as D. Jones or D.E. Jones, De Niro Laster, also known as Nero, Peso, and Terry Rozier, also known as Scary Terry. Ah, jeez. And Chum, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally conspire to devise a scheme and artifice to defraud the betting companies and to obtain money and property from them by means of one or more materially false and fraudulent pretenses. So I think they just go through everything that we just said. So that's pretty crazy, right? Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking of going through this, but man, it's just a tough world out there. It's already 2.5 hours of shows today. Well, nobody wants to bet on running. Yeah, so there's Chauncey Billups is right here. And this had a lot of people in this one. See, the gambling operation, they had a lot of arrests in that one. And then Chauncey Billups was also in that one. So he's in both of the things. That's what's kind of interesting. So is this Eric Ernest guy. So, I mean, and these guys are all just sort of part of something, you know, where they're just out there swindling and scamming. And it seems like Chauncey Billups is sort of a passive type, though. Like in the other one, sure, I mean, everybody knew the Blazers were going to start tanking every game. And so that information came out. He could have just told somebody like, yeah, man. And he said it early, and then those guys used it for their advantage. And then, because that's the only example they have. I mean, where are the, you know, like, if there were 20 examples, I'd be like, okay. But that's the only one that they have. So that's something you could say, right? Like, when he said, hey, you know, these 4 starters aren't playing. And then this gambling thing, I mean, I guess you could say it's possible that he was offered money to be there as sort of a lure for people to come, you know, like, hey, you know, they do that in other places, like, you know, people show up to an event like a celebrity so that other people show up, right? So maybe they just said, hey, we'll give you 10 grand if you show up to this thing. So he's like, okay, cool. And he's not aware of the, but in these documents, they make it clear that everybody in there is aware. You know, like everybody's aware, they're all on the same team, basically. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Dixie Hippie. We've only got 17 channel memberships and $34 in super chats, you guys. Does that seem like a normal night to you guys? We've been having 50 channel memberships, and we're just so far behind normal. So I'm not really sure exactly, you know, what to say, but that's just the reality. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I guess we'll just have to see. It's going to ruin his career regardless. I don't know if there's a way back, you know, unless they quickly drop the charges or you know, something's explained, and he's like, no, I just said, you know, I don't know. They obviously, they must have way more information in this. Like they're all part of it and in on it, and they know it because there's text messages, etc. You know. So I'd be surprised if you're not gonna be charging somebody like that unless you really have the information in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we need about another like 11 channel memberships gifted to get to the goal. I just want to read down here how it worked. All right, the defendant, Amar, I hate reading all the names all the time. Together with other organized, participated in rigged games, as well as square illegal poker games at various locations in New York City, including the Washington Place game and Lexington Avenue game, and other locations throughout the United States. The defendant, Tony Goodson, Shane Hennon, Curtis Meeks, and Roberto Stroud, together with others, supplied other defendants and their co-conspirators in the scheme with cheating technology. On numerous occasions, certain defendants, these are like two completely different things. One was NBA, betting, and this is like gambling. To attract the victims, in some instances, well-known former professional athletes participated in the rigged poker scheme and were referenced as face cards. So Chauncey Billups is a face card. He's Hall of Famer. They have him come in here. And, hey, wow. Geez, Lisa Bilson. Been another lifesaver tonight. We'd be absolutely being smoked again. Thank you. Very kind. All right, let's see if the rest of you guys can do like 5 or 6 more of those things. I don't even know if that would be, we still wouldn't make it at that point. Because earlier we did a show and we did an hour and something, hour and 20 minutes, and we brought 70 in. So right now we'd be at, yeah, we need about like 11 more channel memberships. I thought it was 5, but now that I do the math, that doesn't make sense. No, 8. There you go. That's the number. So Chauncey Billups is a face card. So, to attract the victims, in some instances, well-known former professional athletes participated in the rigged poker scheme and were referenced to as face cards. The face cards were members of the cheating teams and received a portion of the criminal proceeds in exchange for their participation in the scheme. The defendants, Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones, both of whom are former... See, right there, that's the thing. The face cards were members of the cheating teams and received a portion of the criminal proceeds. Now, but here's the thing is, what if they were just promised a fee and they didn't know about that, but yet were still given a portion of... Like, let's say you're showing up to... I guess the problem is it's an illegal event, so that part of itself I think would already get Chauncey Billups in trouble, like ethically, but you could say that they used the proceeds to pay him, and yet when they told him we're going to pay you, he didn't know that it was coming from the illegal proceeds. He might have thought it was like a legitimate event, but you would think that they would have had to have vetted that information before even charging somebody, because that's like an obvious thing to think about, right? So it could have been like, hey, Chauncey, would you mind showing up here? We can we have a poker game, it's a little off the books, but if you were there, we think we could get some high rollers coming in and make a much better game. All right? And we'll pay you, 10 grand if you do it. Oh, sure, hell yeah. So he goes in there and he's betting, he's just playing. And then at the end, they take the mark or whatever you want to call him, the guy that was in there, and the guy loses, and they take 10 grand out of that and give it to Chauncey Billups. And while he was paid from the proceeds of illegal action, is it possible that he wasn't aware of that there was these cameras and all this shit under the tables? Is that possible? Are you talking to me? That's what I just said earlier. I said that earlier, Nader Bader. Like at the beginning of the show, I said that. I'm proud to be a freaking member. Every contribution counts. Right. I mean, so if you're out there, you guys, even if it's, $2, $5, whatever it is, this is how the channel survives. We've been doing this for 6 years now. My channel has donated $265,000 to true crime related charities since January of 2020. And that's the only way that we can make this happen. We've really kind of been dropping in the last, especially since YouTube sort of shadow banned me on the Charlie Kirk stuff. And then, look at the 137 people showing. I have 179,000 subscribers. And look at this. We've got 141 people here. How is that possible? Anybody even, how is that remotely possible? You would think you would accidentally get 500 people. Hey, thanks, Wild Bill Wassman. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's what you're saying, Nader. What happened to your comments? Where are your comments going? All your comments are disappearing on the screen. I was reading them. What happened, Nader Bader? Thank you, Wild Bill Wassman. I don't understand. I know, I don't see him being involved in some. It was funny, Nader Bader. I was reading his comments, and then they went ding, 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 just sort of cascading effect. I guess he left a couple up there. That's cool. I don't know. No, he didn't get me. Hey, Elena, just stick with your own thing. This is what you always do. I don't appreciate it. Let the mods and other people comment on actions going on, okay? Not you. You do that a lot. What do you mean relax? He didn't do anything wrong. Nader Bader's just commenting. I think he's seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. Yeah, I know. He retracted his own comments. That's what I was wondering why he was doing that, though. Nader Bader, what's going on out there? Yeah, see you later, Elena and Mega. You do that a lot. And it's true. Instead of just take constructive criticism. Let's see. Okay. I would and will send something when I can, Gray. That minute, though, who gifted me a membership. How much is what? GBP, I don't know what that means. How much is it in I don't know. $5, I guess. I mean, if you're asking about that, I don't know. He did come back. He's right there. Yeah, I was like Nader Bader. Yeah. I'm just saying. Oh, you're avoiding. Right. She kind of creates issues like that. She doesn't realize it. She always complains if you bring it up to her, It's weird. Let's see. So the rig poker, and then on numerous occasions, certain defendants and their co-conspirators invited the victims who were often wealthy to rig games to attract the victims. In some instances, well-known former professional athletes participated in the rigged poker scheme and were referred to as face cards. The face cards were members of the cheating teams and received a portion of the criminal proceeds in exchange. Yeah, so they're a member of the cheating teams, but how do we know that they're, quote, members, like they knew it? The defendant, Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones, both of whom are former professional, Damon Jones, what kind of a draw is that guy? Never even heard of him. Professional basketball players were face cards and members of the cheating teams. At the rig games, the members of the cheating teams, including the defendants and their co-conspirators, used card shuffling machines that were purportedly randomly shuffling playing cards to ensure fairness. So they had this machine. Oh, yeah, it's just, However, the rigged shuffling machines were secretly altered to use concealed technology to read the cards in the deck, predict which player at the table had the best poker hand, and relay that information via interstate wires to an off-site operator known as the operator. The operator then communicated that information by cellular telephone to a member of the cheating team seated at the rigged gamed poker table referred to as the quarterback or driver. Okay, who used, but what I'm wondering what did Chauncey and the other guy do while they were sitting at the table? Just make mild bets? Well, what if they lost? Were they guaranteed to get their money back too? The operator then communicated that information by cellular telephone to a member of the cheating team seated at the rigged game poker table referred to as a quarterback, who used secret signaling to share the information with other members of the cheating teams playing in the rigged game. Now, that's where, if Chauncey Billups is sitting there and he's getting signals, and he knows what the signals are, then that's a problem. The cheating teams use the information from the quarterback to defraud victims who believe they were playing straight, illegal poker games. So, that sounds like what's that phrase? Oxymoron, straight illegal. But what they're saying is like a legitimate poker game. However, the practice and how they're doing it is illegal. At times, the defendants also utilize other cheating technologies, such as electronic poker chip trays that could secretly read cards placed on the poker table. Jeez. Card analyzers that utilize technology loaded onto decoy cellular telephones that could surreptitiously detect which cards were on the table, and playing cards that had markers visible only to individuals wearing specially designed contact lenses or sunglasses. Wow, that's crazy. So if you're wearing these certain glasses, you can see marks on the back of the cards that somebody's holding. Right? Like a white light or something, how you could see marks. That's pretty crazy. Jeez. All right, you guys, we need 7 more channel memberships. Can we do it? Yeah, that would get us to just the basic goal for the night. With respect to poker games held in New York City area, members and associates of the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families use threats and intimidation to assure payment of debt from rigged games and the square illegal poker games organized by the defendants Amar Awade, Zen Hu, Robert Stroud, and Seth Trustman, and their co-conspirators, as well as to protect the games from competition and other potential threats. In exchange, members and associates of the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families
received portions of the proceeds from the rigged games and the Square illegal poker games. The defendant, Ernest L.O. Thomas, Gilardo, and whatever the hell their name, received proceeds on behalf of the Bonanno crime family. The defendants, John Gallo, Lee Fama, Joseph Lanny, and Angelo Reguero Jr., received proceeds on behalf of the Gambino crime family. Man, I mean, how come they put them all together like that? It's crazy. The defendant, Matthew Dadino, received proceeds on behalf of the Genovese crime family. In addition to receiving proceeds from the rigged games and Square illegal poker games, certain members and associates of the Gambino crime family participated on cheating teams, including the defendant Amar. Certain members and associates Gambino family participated on cheating teams, so they were actually doing other things too. Hey, thanks, Nader Bader. Yeah, just 6 more now. All right. To conceal the nature and extents of the rigged poker scheme, as well as the proceeds from Square illegal poker games, the defendants and their co-conspirators laundered their criminal proceeds through shell companies and third parties. The defendant, Anthony Schneiderman, and his associates and entities laundered the proceeds from rigged games and the Square illegal poker games for other defendants and their co-conspirators in exchange for a fee. So they would launder the money, give it back, maybe keep 10%. Received payment from victims of the rigged games and the Square illegal poker games, and provided cash or other forms of payment such as cryptocurrency to the defendants, including among others the defendants, and name them again. For example, in furtherance of the rigged poker scheme in or around April 2019, several of the defendants participated in rigged games in Las Vegas, Nevada, at which they defrauded victims of at least $50,000. Defendant Chauncey Billups, Eric Ernest, Jamie Gillett, Robert Stroud, and Sophia Way organized and participated. Organized. So you're saying Chauncey Billups helped organize this. Organized and participated in these rigged games. Why in the hell would Chauncey Billups destroy his life to win $50,000 that's divided up amongst other people when you make millions of dollars a year? These guys, it's just so stupid. Eric Ernest, Jamie Gillett, Robert Stroud, and Sophia Wee organized and participated in the rigged games, and Billups up there. As another example, in or around June and July of 2023, several of the defendants participated in rigged games in Lexington Avenue game, at which they defrauded John Doe number 1, an individual whose entity is known to the grand jury, of approximately $1.8 million. That's serious money there. The defendants, Amar Awade, John Gallo, Marco Garzon, Kenny Hahn, Zen Hu, John Mazzola, and Seth Trustman organized and participated in the gaming involving John Doe number 1 using a rigged shuffling machine supplied by the defendant Tony Goodson and Robert Stroud. The defendant Ernest Elo, Matthew Dandino, Lee Fama. These are the people that got the money from the gang. I mean the mafia. John Gallo, Thomas Gilardo, and Zulius Zolani received a portion of the criminal proceeds from the games involving John Doe number 1 on behalf of the there it is, Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese crime families. The defendant Anthony Schneiderman and his co-conspirators laundered at least $100,000 of the criminal proceeds from the games involving John Doe number 1. Hey, thanks, Mama 457 Rose. I'm late, don't want to interrupt. Hey, Gray. Hey, how's it going? All right, we just need 5 more now. 5 channel memberships. Let's see. As another example, I think we just did this one. Oh, wait, this is different. As another example, in or about June 2023, several of the defendants participated in rigged games in East Hampton, New York, at which they defrauded John Doe number 2 and John Doe number 3 individuals who identities are known to the grand jury of at least $46,000 and $105,000, respectively. The defendants, Louise, Apicella, these are the same, Gambino, organized and participated in the rigged games involving John Doe number 2 and number 3 using rigged shuffling machines supplied by the Goodson and Stroud. The defendant, Anthony Schneiderman, and the co-conspirators laundered criminal proceeds from the rigged games involving John Doe number 2 and 3. As another example, in or about September 2024, several of the defendants participated in rigged games in Miami, Florida, at which they defrauded John Doe number... I mean, what I'm having a hard time thinking is, how in the hell did, Billups, how was he talking when he was over there? And you listen to him, he just seems like such a normal, genuine individual, What am I ignoring? What are you talking about? Who's ignoring something? There's a video circulating around of a video of the coach making a joke on the sidelines in May, and now they got suspicious. I don't know what you're talking about, man. You'd have to send me an email. Nobody's ignoring something. I haven't heard of it. So when you say, "Hey, Gray seems to be ignoring it. Look at Gray, he's ignoring it." Well, you have to know about something to ignore it, Now, there are stuff that people send me that I ignore every single day. These idiots that keep sending me, the conspiracy theories on the Tyler Robinson case. Right. Another example, in or about the 2024, several of the defendants participated in rigged games in Miami, Florida, at which they defrauded John Doe number 4, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, of at least $60,000. The defendant, Nelson Alvarez, Jamie Gillette, Tony Goodson, Kenny Hahn, John Mazzola, Michael Renzulli, and Robert Stroud organized and participated in the rigged games involving John Doe number 4 using a rigged shuffling machine supplied by Goodson and Stroud. The defendant, Anthony Schneiderman, laundered criminal proceeds from the rigged games involving John Doe number 4. Overall, from approximately April 2019 through the present, the rigged poker schemes caused losses to the victims of at least $7,150,000. That's a lot of money. I'm not going to look up wolves and find it. I don't even know what the hell that even means, dude. Just send me a link or don't send me anything at all. All right, you guys, we need 5 more channel memberships. Come on. You guys can do it. That'll at least get us to the minimum goal on 2 shows today. I mean, that's crazy. Oh, they're talking about Tyler Robinson? I think he was talking about up there. No, he was talking about Blazers. He said, the coach made a joke and now it's taken to this. Now, that's not what it's about. It wasn't he made a joke. The FBI can see this in the text messages. You have to be completely naive not to see this. Yeah. On several occasions, the defendant and their co-conspirators used threats of force and violence to secure the repayment of debts from illegal poker games. Among other instances, in or about and between November 2022 and February 2023, the defendants Thomas Gallardo, Zen Hu, and Julius Zolani conspired to and did extort John Doe number 5, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, to secure the repayment of debt from illegal poker games. Similarly, In or about and between September 2023 and October 2023, the defendants Saul, Becker, Zenhu, and Seth Trussman conspired to and did extort John Doe number 6. An individual's identity is known to the grand jury to secure repayment. Addition, I mean, it just kind of goes on and on. Let's see. In or about between April 2019 and present, both dates being approximate and inclusive within Eastern District of New York and elsewhere, the defendant, I want to see if Billups is in. He doesn't have too many. Oh, it is spelled with an O. A U. I thought it was an O. That's weird. Okay. In or about between April 2019 and present, both dates being approximate. Also known, so Chauncey Billups, and all these different, look at all these names they got in there. Together with others, did knowingly and intentionally conspire to, so that means they know that these people intentionally did this, to conduct one or more financial transactions to wit. All right, I don't know, do I have to throw myself in prison to do this, you guys? Or just need to get 5? It's just, it shouldn't be that difficult. Yeah, there's a lot of defendants. There's like 30 on this one. Yeah, so they're just going back over all the counts that we went over already. Yeah, so man, that's crazy. There's all kinds of people talking about it right now. Ugh. Oh, come on, Lisa Belson. You didn't have to. I'm just trying to get other people. It's crazy. Hey, thanks, Allie Cake, too. We're just trying to keep the ball rolling. I mean, look at this. 113 people. That's insane. But I appreciate all the ones that did show up. Thank you. I know, it's just like you guys are always... There's people out here that just watch, and they never support the channel, but we get the same people that are always helping. Oh, God. All right. Yeah, well, at least we, got to the goal. If you combine the previous show to this one, we just barely got there. How sad is that? Let's see what stories are out there, though. So it is you. That's weird. That's what I thought it was, and then there was then they corrected me, so I changed it. What do I have out here? Okay. Put that in there. I'm going to go look and see what they've got out there. Chauncey Billups pregame. Wow. Detailing allegations. Let's see what this one says.
Welcome back to NBA Today and back to a developing story. Today, ABC News Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katursky. Aaron, thank you so much for staying with us here on NBA Today. What more can you tell us about what Chauncey Billups is being accused of?
Yeah, Sinead, Chauncey Billups, according to federal prosecutors, was the lure, the mafia allegedly paying him for his celebrity to attract.
Yeah, hit the like button too. Like, I mean, I know people can't afford to help support the channel. It just, you know, it just seems like over time it's the same people, which I absolutely appreciate, but it's like, man, wouldn't it be great if some other people... but yeah, I mean, hit the like button, share the video. You know, I say all that stuff in my videos, but nobody does that either, so, you know.
High rollers to poker tables in the Hamptons, in Las Vegas, in Miami, and right here in Manhattan, so they would gamble, so they would play poker. What those people didn't know was that everyone else at the table was in on the scam because the games were rigged. Chauncey Billups was known as a face card because the mafia allegedly used his face to lure in these unsuspecting victims. The victims themselves were called fish, as the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York explained in Brooklyn a short while ago.
Right there, they have the same on my thumbnail.
The scheme targeted victims known as, quote, fish, who were often lured to participate in these rigged games by the chance to play alongside former professional athletes who were known as, quote, face cards. The so-called face cards included the defendant Chauncey Billups, who at the time of the scheme was a former NBA player and is currently the head coach.
He'll never coach again. I don't even care. You know, the fact that he was in illegal gambling, I mean, I guess other people, it's hard to have somebody, a coach, a leader, somebody on your team that's supposed to be the example, you know, and they're out there absolutely, you know, even if you're just, let's just pretend that there was nothing, they weren't scamming anybody. He was just gambling in illegal gambling, you know, but it was fair. It was like really, you know, people are gambling. And I think you'd still, you don't want somebody like that as a coach, do you? You know, that you're out there doing illegal things, gambling. I mean, a player can get away with that a little bit, right? Hey, thanks, Dixie Hippie. But Gray, I always hit the like button. You do, I do. Yeah, you do. I see it, I see it. I mean, what do you think of that right there? That's what I'm saying. Do you think he would stay around as a coach? Like, let's say it came to light that Chauncey Billups was gambling with a bunch of people. It was like organized gambling, but it's illegal. I don't know if you'd want him to be a coach, you know, because it's really terrible judgment that you're out there. And why are you doing that? God, I mean, you know what's amazing is you're coaching an NBA team. Just go out and try to win a championship and put all your effort in there. What in the hell are you doing? What kind of a thrill are you getting gambling when you've got this incredible job that you're doing? You're just a joke. I mean, that's so stupid. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's ever, you know, unless they come forward and they go, you know, we made a mistake. He didn't do any of this stuff. He was there, but this is what we, you know, it's just not going to happen though, because they wouldn't have charged him unless they had proof that he willingly knew what he was doing. And the grand jury indicted him. That means they saw this information and they think that. Hey, wow, thanks, Chris O'Connell. All right. Thank you. Very cool. Pete Rose was, he bet that's what Billups is doing is a lot less bad, you know, technically. Although Pete Rose bet on his team in baseball, right? Like he bet for, I don't think he ever bet against his team. But which is weird that you can't bet for your team. Doesn't that mean you're going to try everything you can to win? I mean, it's like, you know, but you're betting against it, then that's where a problem happens, because then you could sort of, let me type that in. I don't even know. Did Pete Rose ever bet against his team? Okay, I guess he did. Yes, the investigation confirmed that Pete Rose bet on baseball games. Well, I know. No, that doesn't confirm that. You're saying including his own team. While Rose initially denied it for years, he later admitted to betting on his team to win, though he consistently claimed he never bet against them. The official Dowd report found evidence that Rose placed wagers on games involving his team. Well, right, but that's still pro, right? I mean, for many years, Rose denied betting on baseball. Okay. Some sources, including a hidden notebook from the time, show he bet on his team while he was a player, contradicting his earlier claims. Rose was given a lifetime... I know, but did he ever bet against it? Let's see. Did Pete Rose ever bet that his team would lose? No. Pete Rose has consistently maintained that he never bet on his team to lose. See, I don't even know if I would get him in... You know, him not being in the Hall of Fame is ludicrous in this case. Because if you're not betting on your team to lose and you're betting on your team to win, how is that bad? I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, I guess you're betting on baseball, but I mean, isn't that what you're doing every time you go into a game? You're betting that your team's, you know, like, hey, I'm going to win. I don't know how that keeps him out of the Hall of Fame. I think that's ludicrous. If he was betting against it, forget it. Okay? Just like that one player, he, you know, took himself out of the game, you know, 9 minutes in, and that means you're intentionally disrupting the game. Right, I don't think it's kind of weird that if you're betting for your team to win, and he was amazing, he definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know how that sort of, I mean, that's so much less bad, you know what I mean, than if you're gambling against your team. That means you're intentionally taking people out and losing on purpose. Every game you play, you try to win, right? So if you're betting on your team, that means you're doing everything you can to win. And that's how you want the sport to be. Yeah. And Charlie Hustle, man, that guy was crazy. He'd like do a face first slide to home from like 30 feet out and just dive all the way into there. I think Ichiro would have absolutely smoked Pete Rose's his hitting had he played here the same amount of time. In fact, I think, let's see, Ichiro was the best. I've never seen anybody better than him. All right, so Ichiro has, you know, he played in the Japanese league, which is really good. He has 4,367 hits. Okay, now how many hits does Pete Rose have? How many hits does Pete Rose have? His is 4,256. So 4,367 lifetime hits by Ichiro. 3,000 of them were in the major leagues, but he didn't play hardly, anyway, year-wise, hardly any. I think he would have smoked Pete Rose's record. I mean, absolutely would have killed it. I mean, because he came over when he was like 29 or something, you know? Like, he wasn't even young anymore. Let's see. How old was Ichiro when he retired? He was 45. Holy crap. See, that's what I'm saying. So he must have been like 26 or something when he came to the ML. And he was 27. So he played 18 years. And just think if he got here when he was 20, or 20, you know, I mean, he just would have killed it, I think. And I bet he didn't play much those later years. 45, that's crazy. You know what's weird about him? He'd swing, you know, he'd go for a little sort of slow base hit, and he'd be running as he's making contact. and he would throw people out. I mean, he would beat somebody to first base on a routine grounder. I remember one time he did this one where he just hit it right to the shortstop, just a routine grounder. And I think it was Jeter. He picks it up, and then he looks over, and he just goes, boom, he just hucked it as fast as he could, and he threw Ichiro out by like 0.1, I mean, just like, I mean, and then the camera panned back to Jeter, and he was like, holy shit. Because it was just a classic, routine grounder, zip it over to first, the guy's out by 10 feet. It wasn't even close. And then he had a great arm, too, out in right field. I saw him one time, I think it was against the Yankees. He got a fly ball, deep center field, and he threw a rope straight line to third base on a rope and threw the guy out. I mean, it was unbelievable. Yeah, he was just, he was so much better than so many people. Yeah, I used to tell my brother that and stuff. I go, Ichiro, and he goes, oh, come on, Gray. He's a huge White Sox fan. And then later he goes, well, geez, he was pretty good. I guess he was pretty good after all. Let's see. Anyway, let me go back to this thing. God, look at these losers. They're so upset. Do you guys care at all that Trump is building a ballroom? I think it'll look beautiful over there. Why do you care? The East Wing is just sort of... The West Wing has got history to it. I mean, who cares, you guys? Let him do something. At least he's not building a bowling alley, okay? Does it really bother anybody? But the left is making it into every day another picture. Oh my God, everybody, I hate him so much. You wouldn't care. You want to know something? None of these people would care at all if, let's say Biden or Obama had decided to build a ballroom and tear down the East Wing. They wouldn't care at all. They'd be going, oh, it's so lovely. They've got such great taste. But these losers out there spend all their day with Trump derangement syndrome, where every single thing he does, and here's what's going to happen. He's going to build a beautiful ballroom that will be a prize to have in Washington, D.C., and in a few years, people will all be talking about how great it is as soon as he's out of office. In fact, what it'll be is, let's say a Democrat happens to win the next election, they'll do one little modification like paint a wall, and that goes, look how beautiful it is now. It looked terrible under Trump, though. I mean, aren't you guys just, can't you see it? It's just every day this idiotic, just mindless trashing of somebody just because, yeah, and he's paying for it. And so are some other companies. They're going to help pay for the damn thing. But it's just every day. It just, look at these stupid posts. Look at this one right here. Look. Yeah, I effing hate him. Because then right there, see the East Wing, and the whole thing's torn down. Because they're going to build a beautiful ballroom off to the right there. Okay, this is the West Wing over here. That one everybody talks about. That's something you probably wouldn't tear down. East Wing, it's, I don't know, man. Here, look. It's right here. So basically, they took down this portion over here. I bet you it'll be a ballroom and some room, other kind of things going on. It's not genuine what these people are doing. So you got that, and I don't know what that, I guess that's that building. No, that couldn't have been that one. It's over here. Yeah, so anyways, it's crazy. But that's all they do on Twitter now. It's like, who can post the next picture that has more construction teardown? Yes, that's what happens when you tear down part of a building and build something. Did anybody really care about anything that was going on in the East Wing? Did you really care at all about that? Well, I remember this one time I heard a story. There was this guy that... You don't have a clue. You know, nobody talks about the East Wing. That's not true, Gray. I read a book once. I'm not talking about a book on a daily basis. People talk about the West Wing. There's even a show that was called that. You guys know it, right? It's just sick. Sick as hell, these people. I tell you. All right, let's see.
Coach of the Portland Trailblazers. And also Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach. What the victims, the fish, didn't know is that everybody else at the poker game, from the dealer to the players, including the face cards, were in on the scam.
I bet it will be
For
amazing.
example, they used off-the-shelf...
It's, you know what it's going to do? It's going to be elegant looking, and it'll fit right in. It'll have the classic look of the White House and the surrounding buildings, and everybody's going to like it. Okay? The only people that won't like it, just like, okay, you know, here's the thing. You want to hear a perfect example of what I'm talking about? You want to hear it? I have a perfect example of the White House. And you know what it is? The COVID vaccines. When Trump did the COVID vaccines, he did a record fast, got him out there, and the left hated him. I'm never going to take those things. If Trump was the one in office who created them, I'm not going to take them. 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 And then as soon as he got out of office and Biden was in there, they're the greatest things in the world. We're all going to take these things. They're amazing, and we're going to kick kids out of school, and we're going to take 2 years off, and we're going to... You know what I'm saying? It's exactly the same. And then it'll be Trump created these, and if somehow a Democrat ends up in there, which I doubt, and in, what year was that, 28 or 29, they're going to talk about how great it is now. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. It'll be a constant reminder that he was a president of the United States and that he did a lot of everything that he said he was going to do. Have you ever seen a president do more of what they promised they were going to do than this guy? And now he's getting hell for doing the things that people voted him in the office to do. Yeah. It's crazy. And everybody's just getting, even Rogan, he's not getting things right now. Joe Rogan, it's just like things are just spiraling because these people just, I don't know, man. They get like Trump derangement syndrome all the time. I don't know what Joe Rogan's doing. He's saying, I thought they were just going to get rid of the bad illegal aliens. Well, I mean, I always said that, I think the thing that they're offering is great. You get paid to go back home, and then you can come back in as long as you accept to leave without us having to track you down. And aren't you sick of, like, all of the construction jobs that are being taken by illegal aliens? Yes, it's cheaper, probably, but not way cheaper. They still get paid pretty well to do what they're doing. And I think U.S. citizens would do those jobs. In fact, they're struggling to find jobs in the construction world because of that. Well, I thought they only did jobs that Americans didn't do. But how come they're doing roofing and they're doing drywall, they're doing construction work? I thought you said that they only did jobs that Americans wouldn't do, but they seem to be taking those. Yeah. Poor Chauncey Billups, man. Now you type his name in, and that's all that comes up. There isn't. Nobody cares about anything else that he ever did. Yeah. A sprawling FBI probe. I don't know. Kind of want to listen. Let's listen to what does Shaq say about it. Let's see.
comes to gambling and sports gambling, and I don't want to sit up here. We all know the letter of the law when it comes to gambling and sports gambling, and I don't want to sit up here like I'm some perfect guy. Like every now and then when I go to Vegas, I'll play some craps and I'll play some roulette, but never gambled at anybody's house. Don't know anything about poker, so I don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the Chauncey thing. But I know Chauncey, I know Damon very well, played with Damon, so I don't want to sit up here, but I'm ashamed that those guys would put their families and their careers in jeopardy. There's an old saying in the hood, all money ain't good money. So if you're making $9 million and you're dealing in certain things, like how much more do you need? Especially if you know you get caught, you can do jail time.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Lose your career.
Yeah.
Put a bad image on yourself or your family or on the NBA. I agree with you, Chuck.
Yeah, I tweeted on that tractor trailer one. I think that guy intentionally did that. He didn't care at all. He was looking the other way, rams into a car, then he just had the same face, didn't even act like,
They dropped the ball.
100%.
They had
100% dropped the ball.
And like you never want to have your name involved in that when you know the letter of the law. And Ernie, again, I know for a fact every year they cancel practice and say don't do this and don't do that.
Kenny Smith tried to say, well, it's an addiction, gambling is, so they have. Give me a break, man. It's just it's stupid. I think that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. The whole gambling addiction. I know it's something that they say exists, but you have a choice to do it. It's not a like drugs where it's physically making you like you need it to sort of feel like you survived because you're shaking and all this stuff. It's not nowhere near that. It's like, a sex addiction. So, I mean, people just coming up with all kinds of crap. I don't believe it at all. Yeah. Right, you're not physically addicted to it. I mean, you could say mentally, but what I don't know. It's not like you're forced to do that. Yeah, I think there's another thing I always think of that's sort of a cop-out like that. I don't know. I can't remember which one it was. I'm not into when people say alcoholism is a disease. I'm not into that. I think it's an addiction. I do believe that. But it's not a disease, It's literally, I mean, a disease is something that you catch, or, something that you get and, whether or not you can, there's I mean, it's just totally different, I think alcoholism is, the reason I don't think it's a disease is because it's your choice to not have the disease, but other people that have a disease, they don't have a choice. It's just, they've got a disease, right? But alcoholics, I mean, I guess even when you're always an alcoholic once you're an alcoholic, but you don't have any of the effects of the disease unless you're drinking. So it's like up to you to have the effects of the disease where everybody else has the full effects of whatever disease they have without that. So I think it's an addiction, much like drugs and so forth. But, do they call drug addicts a disease when they're doing drugs? I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. They just call your drug addiction. They don't say you have a disease. What do you think of that? I know a lot of people don't agree. These are just thoughts that I have, and I don't even know. I can't even say I'm right or wrong. White House. Like somebody who's addicted to sex, would you say, oh, he's got a disease of sex addiction? No? Well, he's addicted to marijuana. Well, he's got a disease of marijuanism. They don't ever say that, right? But somehow alcoholism has been called a disease. Why was that one particular thing referred to that way? Anybody have an answer to that? Right, I mean, that's the only one that's called a disease. Well, I know, but I'm just saying, no, I'm saying, why don't they say that? You know? Nader Bader. Anyways, you guys, I gotta take off. I gotta get up early tomorrow. But I want to say thank you, you guys. You hit the goal at least. Didn't quite reach it on this show, but if you combine this show with the previous show, we would. $20 more here would get us on this show. But we got Timothy Cecil, Jeffrey Sadal, Ali Cake, Nader Bader, Mary Mellon, Jeffrey Sadal, gifted a membership. Wild Bill Wassman gifted one. Ali Cake gifted one. Nader Bader gifted one. Then we had Ali Cake, Jack Craig, and then Wild Bill Wassman. Then Jess gifted one. Then Lisa Belson gifted 10. Dixie Hippie. Then Lisa Belson gifted 5. And then Wild Bill Wassman. Then Nader Bader. Mama 457 Rose. And Lisa Belson did 5 again. Thank God. Let's see, without that, we would be... I mean, we would just wouldn't even been close. And then Allie Cake gifted 1. Dixie Hippie. Chris O'Connell gifted 5. And then Ralph David. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it. I guess we'll see you tomorrow. All right. I think we all understand what the issues are in the 2 different cases that were filed involving the NBA players and the mafia and all those people. Because we went through the probable cause document, which a lot of people don't take the time to do. And yes, everybody, thank you so much, everybody, for supporting the channel tonight. Special thanks to Lisa Belson there again. Appreciate that. I'll try to do a live stream from where I'm at. I'm gonna be over in Waldsport or Waldsport. You know that place where I did that video with the animation in it? It's not gonna be sunny though. It's gonna be raining and shitty. But we're still going anyways. I am. I just said that. Yeah. I mean, I might do a live stream from there. We'll see how it goes. Right, that's what they always do. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. Perhaps, you know, it might be in the wind and whatnot, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so thanks again. We'll see you tomorrow. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not
Quite a
seen
while.
one person that is a
Crime dissector, flag rejector, I'm a certified human lie detector.
gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always
Gonna be a protector,
fool deflector,
interceptor,
and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his spectre. With all respect,
just remember,
I have a temple fucking
rejection.
I have no agenda.
I'm no agenda, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send you on a mission to reveal the true offender.
Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you.
Good night, everybody. And be safe out there.